Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, my fellow classmates and my honorable lecturer. Welcome back to my YouTube channel if you have been here before, and welcome if you're just suddenly here. I hope you guys are doing all great in this. It's cloudy here. I hope you are watching this in a sunny day. And let's just get into the point. So I made this video because I was assigned to give comments on 4 performances of my advanced speaking class. Alright, so I was talking about performances. So what I meant by performances is that my friends are in groups, so I will be commenting 4 groups, and in each group there will be 4 people doing different roles. One will do MC, one will do speech, one will be the moderator, and one will be the presenter. So I will be kind of judging 16 people because there are 4 groups, and I'll be good at it because I'm good at judging. So let's just jump into it. Alright, so the first group I'm going to give comments to is group 15. So in group 15 we have Isan Setiadi as the MC, Rika Rianti as the person who delivered the speech, third Maya Rukmadi Chandra as the moderator, and last but not least is Taufik Hidayat, or we usually call him Joko, as the presenter of the performance. Alright, so first MC Isan Setiadi. So I actually have not much to say about him. His words were greatly spoken, his words were clear, it was very clear for me to hear, and he did a great job at being an MC, like handling the agenda and the whole thing as in general. I just have one complaint. So in general, MC will look at the audience, right? But because we're in online class, at least look at the camera. Pretend camera is the audience. But I saw that he kept looking down like this. I don't know what he was looking at, but I just wish he would look at the camera more. He probably look at his cue card. I understand MC use cue card to know what they're gonna do next, but I'm sure MC just like glance at the cue card and then talk to the audience more. So I just wish he does that. So the second one is Rika Rianti, and she is the person who delivered the speech, and her speech was kind of short and very straightforward, which is not a bad thing, and her words were very clearly spoken and I could hear her clearly as well. I just wish that she would explain a little bit more about the event. She did explain it, but it was just very short and brief. Once again, it's not a bad thing, but just in my opinion, I think she should have explained more about the history of the event, why the event was held, and such things like that. So overall, she's great. So next is Rukma Maya Chandra. Let's just say Maya. She was the moderator for the 15th performance, and she did very well. She did very great. I didn't see that she was looking down. She didn't do that. She tried her best to kept looking at the camera, which is definitely a good thing. So I think she was a good moderator. She was also very clearly spoken, so I could hear her words clearly, and she handled the presentation very well. She led the question and answer session very well, and she concluded in a very good way as well. So she was pretty great. She was really great. Last but not least, Taufik Hidayat as our presenter. So he was presenting about the coronavirus. So I think that's definitely one good point, because coronavirus is a very up-to-date topic in the middle of the pandemic like this. I kind of have 2 aspects on commenting him. First is technical, second is the delivery. So first is technical. So in Zoom app, if you screen share, the screen that you share will be shown on the screen, and your face will also be shown if you use one account. However, Taufik didn't use one account, he used 2. So he used one for screen sharing, the second one is for him to speak. It's not really a big deal, but I used Zoom on my phone yesterday, and I had to slide to the left to see his face, and I have to swipe back to see the presentation. It's not really a big deal, but I just wish he would use just one account to make it kind of easier. Maybe, I know it's not a big deal, but I just want to make a big deal out of it. No, it's not a big deal, but it's just my comments, my opinion. And on the second technical thing, his PowerPoint was great. His PowerPoint was on the point, brief. He was just putting the gist of what he wanted to say. There were not too much text. It was just classy, elegant, great. I was not bored looking at his PowerPoints. It's great. Second is his delivery. We in this class, we gotta kind of pretend to be the expert of what we present about. So he was presenting about the coronavirus, right? I think he should have like pretend to be a doctor, pretend to be really passionate about it, pretend to know everything about it. However, I think I know that some people really do have flat tone when they talk, but I just wish he would present his presentation in a more passionate way, because I couldn't feel like he was a doctor. I couldn't feel his passion about it. I mean, I understand, but I just wish it was more lively. As I said for the MC, I wish Taufik also look at the camera more, because I saw that he kept looking down. I don't know what he looked at, but as a presenter, I'm sure we need to be interactive and we need to look at the audience, in this case, camera. I just wish he would look at the camera more rather than just looking down. But he definitely has a good side though on his delivery. His words were very clear and very easy to understand and straightforward. So it's easy to understand for people who might not have a medical background. Overall, performance 15 was great. It was amazing. I would rate it 8.8 out of 10. Great job, you guys. Now let's just jump into the next performance. So the next performance I'm going to give comment to is the performance 16, and in this performance we have Yulista Yumnakbari as the MC, Hia Shifanur as the deliver her speech, and Aprilia Nilam as moderator, and last but not least, and the most important actually, Fatima Azahra as the presenter. First, Yulista Yumna as the MC. I have nothing much to say. It's kind of the same as my previous comments about the previous MC. She was great. She handled the agendas very well, and her words were very clearly spoken. She was quite eloquent about it. But I noticed that she kept looking down instead of looking at the camera, and I just wish she would look at the camera more. Second is Hia Shifanur as this person who delivered the speech. Her speech was shockingly short. She started and ended it in less than a minute. It has a little bit of information about the event, but I just wish she would kind of explain more about the event and explain more about what the speaker was going to talk about. I just think she should have made it a little bit longer and more explanatory. Alright, so the third one is Aprilia Lamsari as our moderator. I think I don't have much to say about this as well. I think she did really great. I didn't really look if she looked down or looked at the camera, but I just think her words were very clear and there were no fillers whatsoever. She did very great and just handled the presentation very well. She concluded it very well. She handled pretty much all the presentation aspect very well. So I think she did a really good job. Last but not least, our presenter Fatima Azahra, who presented about human mood. It was also a very short presentation, but it was quite informative, which is good. And I got some new knowledge from it, which is definitely a good thing. And her PowerPoint was also very straightforward, very simple, very short, very into the point, and her delivery was also great. I think she sounded very good in it. She doesn't keep a flat tone. She sounded like she's kind of like passionate and professional, and she looked at the camera. So I think that's kind of like an important thing I'm really judging here. If you look at the camera, it's good. I'm like not really looking at the note or something like that. Overall, it's just very good, and some people asked a question to her and she answered it very nicely. So I think she did a very great job. Actually, everybody in performance 16 did a great job. Just maybe lessen the looking down and reading part and look at the camera more and be more attractive. That's all from me for group 16. Great job, you guys. I'll give you guys 9.1 out of 10. So the next performance I'm going to give comment to is performance 17. And in performance 17, we have these people who are the performers of this performance. First, I'm going to give a comment to Arnold Masowa as the MC. So the good thing is that he did well. Obviously, his fluency was great, his pronunciation was great, the way he said his word was great. I could hear it very clearly. The only bad thing is that I saw him reading a text. Once again, so I understand MCs do read text, but I felt like he was reading more than memorizing. So I wish he would memorize it instead of reading it and looking down and not looking at the camera. So second is the speech. So the speech was delivered by Lista Yumna Akbari. Let's call her Yumna. So Yumna actually did a really great job. Her speech was actually really great, and her speech was actually longer than the previous two speeches. And her speech was very explanatory. She really explained and foreshadowed what the speaker was going to present about, which is a good thing. And it was just great. Her words were very clearly spoken. I could hear them clearly, and it was straightforward but informative in a way. However, I saw that she's not looking at the camera while doing the speech. She was looking like at the slide as she's reading something. So I'm guessing she read that speech instead of summarizing it. So I just wish she would memorize it instead of reading it. Next, the moderator. The moderator for this performance was Hia Shifanur. Let's call her Shifa. So Shifa did actually a really great job. She tried to maintain eye contact with the camera, and she led the presentation very well. Even though there was a little technical difficulties, the meeting was cut off while she was doing the Q&A session, but she and the presenter were handling it very well, so that's definitely a good thing. Overall, she just did really great. Okay, last but not least is Iksan Setiadi as our presenter. He was presenting about the benefit of having beard. To me, it was a very interesting topic, but I got quite much knowledge about beard after I was listening to the presentation. So technically, his PowerPoint was really great. It was simple, it was not too much, it was just not boring to look at, and he actually used two accounts on the Zoom. And as my comment of looking at it before, I just wished he used one only, so it'll be kind of better to look at. I think it's not a big deal. I just kind of want to point that out. And then his delivery was actually pretty good. So, before he actually jumped into his material, he was being interactive to the audience, and I think that's definitely a good thing. And he didn't really focus much on like a text or whatever. He was indeed very interactive to the audience in the first minute before he started his presentation. But once he started his presentation, he was, oh my god, I feel like he was reading instead of really explaining, because I saw that he kind of looked at somewhere instead of looking at the camera. I just feel like, I mean, it's totally okay to like glance at the material explanation, but I just wish he would explain it instead of actually reading it, because I could feel that he was reading the material instead of explaining it. Overall, this performance was actually really great. Great fluency, great technical, even though there was a mistake, but it's totally fine. It was just all great all over. My only problem was still the same. I wish they would keep more camera or eye contact and memorize their lines better. That's my comment, and I would give this performance, drumroll please, 8.9, maybe the same as the first performance, because you guys did great. I just wish it was you guys memorized their lines better. Good job, you guys. So the last performance group that I will give comment to is group or performance 18, and these are the people who will be performing, who was performing. So first is Triamelania as the MC. I think she did very well. She did an incredible job at being an MC. She handled the agendas very well. Her words were very eloquently spoken, and I got to hear her very well. Overall, she did a very good job. It's just that she didn't really keep an eye contact, I noticed, but still fine. She did an amazing job still. Next is Aramoso as the person who delivered the speech. His speech was indeed quite short but still great. He thanked the audience and he greeted the special guests. I didn't catch him saying or foreseeing what the presenter was going to present, and she didn't talk about the event and all that. But even though I didn't hear it, even though if he didn't do that, I think he still did very great in delivering his speech. He did overall very great because the main point I think is that the fact that I could hear him very clearly. Next is our moderator, Isam Setiadi. I think he did an amazing job as well. His words were very clearly spoken. I could hear him very nicely. His word was understandable and all that stuff. And my problem is still one. I didn't really see him keeping an eye contact, but once again, I know I said it a lot, but like I think it'd be good if he kept an eye contact. But that doesn't mean he did a bad job. That doesn't mean he did a bad performance. He did it very well, despite the lack of eye contact. But just did very well. Last, the star of this performance, our presenter Rukma Maya. She did a splendid, excellent job as a presenter. First of all, just one bad thing I want to point out is the fact that she used two Zoom accounts. I know it's not a big deal, but I mentioned it in the previous comments, so I just want to say it again. So that's the only problem I had. Other than that, her presentation, her PowerPoint was on point. It was engaging, eye-catching, not boring, and interesting. And her topic was actually was self-defense, which was definitely informative and knowledgeable and interesting as well. And the technical, all good, PowerPoint great, and all that. Her delivery was also very great. I saw her kept maintaining an eye contact to the camera, which is definitely great. Her explanation was very straightforward and clear and easy to understand, obviously. And I think overall, she definitely did a superb job at presenting. So overall, on this 18th performance, I think you guys did an amazing job. They did a superb job. And even though there was a technical difficulty, they handled it very well. Just definitely a great thing. So I think on overall score, I would give this performance 9.5 out of 10, the highest one, definitely, because you guys did incredible job. Alright, so I think that's all of my comments. I know I was definitely judgmental, but I was just trying to finish my assignment. I'm sorry for being judgmental and very negative sometimes. I hope this video will fulfill the assignment. Thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.